All right, Holly, since the relaxing of the pandemic-based travel restrictions has been an alarming increase of violent behavior. This is both on the roads and in the skies. So can anything be done to calm these post-quarantine tensions? We got to turn right now to the KCBS Ring Central Newsline. Leigh Richardson joins us now, founder and clinical director of the Brain Performance Center in Dallas. So, Leigh, appreciate your time this morning. Are we, or why are we more reactionary today, do you think, than we were 12 or 15 months ago?
Well, I think we've been under an unusual level of stress. I think that, we're just stuck. We're stuck in that fight or flight mode. And many of us have been operating remotely. I think we've kind of forgotten how to play nice with each other. I think that has a lot to do with it.
From a clinical perspective, I mean, how do you study this? Is it is it behavioral, or is there actually something chemical going on?
Well, I think I look at it from the electrical frequencies in the brain, but certainly there's chemical synapses going on in the brain as well. And when people get in that fight or flight mode, that does change, what's going on in the body. And it gets us to the point where we're not sure what to do. And usually when you're unsure what to do, fear comes in and plays a big role in it. And I don't think people think about the consequences. Somebody honks their horn at me, or they give me a hand gesture, and that makes me so mad I'm going to get out of the car. Well, you don't think about what happens when you get out of the car. You don't know about what you're walking into. Does that person have a gun? Has that person just had a big fight with their partner? Before that, did that person just get a really burning email from a colleague? I mean, we're all so reactionary, it just builds and builds and builds.
So how can we, I don't know if we can prevent it, but how can we identify that snap in our brain before it happens? Can we identify any signs to help us not do what you just described?
Well, I think we can be preventative. A lot of times what happens is we're running 10 minutes late. We get in the car. We're already tense because we're running late. We're going someplace we've never been before. We're not sure how to get there. So we get in with that tension. So think about setting yourself up for success. Allow plenty of time to get there. And remember, you can always pull over and just take a few deep breaths. And if you happen to cut somebody off, I've done it without intent. And then when you pull up next to them at the light, you can always mouth, "I'm sorry." You can deflate, you can take the air out of that balloon.
What a great idea. That's usually not what I see coming from the other driver. But yeah, I wonder, you were talking about all those things that, somebody might have got an email that was bad or had a fight. And I keep thinking, that's not usually what I think when someone is reacting to me. I think, what did I do?
Right. But, I think the last thing is that, we need to focus on our own driving. Don't focus on how other people are driving.
Does this pass down, this behavior pass down through our DNA, do you think? I mean, my wife and I, we have twins. One is more passive, one is more aggressive. And I'm just wondering if this is something that sort of passes down through our DNA.
Well, I'm a twin. I have twins. And I've often, why is one black and one white? All or nothing thinking, by that I mean. But brainwaves are genetic. They are just as genetic as how tall you are or what color eyes you have. So I do think that there is some genetics involved. And certainly I can see more of my husband in one, and I can see more of the little wild child in the other.
You talked about the fact that you look at behavior, and when you look at flying, people are already kind of nervous about doing it in the first place. And I'm wondering, how do you go into, say, a crowded flight and exercise behaviors that might diffuse situations?
Well, and you get on a plane, you're 30,000 feet in the air. Every seat, I've flown the last couple of months, every seat is taken. Masks are mandatory. They're uncomfortable, they're hot, and you really have to do some self-check-in and some self-talk. I'm going to get on this flight. I'm going to either watch something on my phone or I'm going to read. What are you going to do to keep your mind off the tension in the air? And there is tension in the air on planes because they're so crowded. There's, the flight attendants are limited on with what they can do. I actually read that the flight attendants, they're offering voluntary, restating that crew member self-defense techniques so that the crew can learn to identify and defer potential threats. So I think, everybody's doing what they can, but there's something we can all do. And we have to do it.
Yeah, and that circles back to, like we were saying, and I appreciate your time this morning, Leigh, too, is to take a deep breath, count to 10, and like Mom and Dad always used to say please and thank you. Leigh Richardson, founder and clinical director of the Brain Performance Center in Dallas.